Now let's see some of the other components very frequently used. Main is for your understanding, and let's do that. I want to go to the logging one. Okay, so log component. So first of all, there are two types of components. One is these kind of components which can directly be dragged and dropped, like FTP, HTTP, right? Get, put integration message and all those. These are the ones which can directly be dragged and dropped. Okay, but there are few which cannot be. Like if you see this log one, if you drag it, it will not go, right? Why? Because for them, we need a placeholder, right? And for that, the component that we use is called mediation, right? So async mediation and sync mediation, we have two, right? Async is the most commonly used one, while async is, again, now let me see if, right? So you have components like this. Yep, and then you connect it to them like this. Okay, so now this is a very important concept, right? So you consider this as the studio components. Okay,
Yeah.
this is start here. Now say this is async mediation, right? And then say this one is what, some put integration message, whatever. So the flow of your integration goes from here till the end, right? Then
Yeah.
what happens once the integration, the message flows? So from start here, the output of a start here will be a message. There will be some message at the end of this. Okay, from here. Then that message is the input to this component, right? This component will do something. Finally, there will be some message which will come out and go to the put integration message. Then put integration message will do its own stuff. And then once this is the end, right? What happens is message starts flowing backward. Okay. In the integration is a circle in this one. So it starts from start here, execute everything, and then comes back. Clear?
Okay.
Right? So this is a very important concept. Not everyone which does studio integrations is aware about this concept. Okay. So now, okay, this is clear that the message flows till the end and then comes back. Suppose there is an error in between here, right? In this async mediation, say you have written some wrong syntax and all that stuff. Then what will happen? The message will come here, right? After this, what should happen is it should flow to put integration message. But no, since it got an error, it will start flowing backward from here itself. And it will come here and the processing will complete here. Yep. Clear? Now say there is another component here itself. Let me first. Yep. There is say another component here we have used. Now there is an error here. Now async mediation, we do error handling, right? We do capture errors and all that. We will see that. So if there is an error here, the error starts flowing backward. But if there is an error handler in this async mediation, it will catch that error and you can do whatever processing you want. Okay. Just listen and understand the way we do it. We will see it now. Okay. And then it comes back here. Okay. Now let me go back to the studio. So if you see here, async mediation, first let's do this and I will remove this part first. So async mediation, here it will come here and then from async mediation, the flow, right? So there are these components We will see what each one of them does, but right now what I'm trying to show is the flow of message. Okay, so from start here, the integration will start. It will come here, right? Whatever is there in this component, the properties, it will execute that. Then it will go to log, then it will go to this store, and then to put integration message, right? After put integration message, the message will start flow back and come back to start here and done. Yep. But if there is, it starts processing here. Suppose you have an error in this component, some code or something, it will stop the processing and goes back. Yep. So it will not go to this next one or even the next components. Okay. Now, this is one. I will now remove this and bring it here and bring our async mediation, the sync mediation. Now, sync mediation, you can again have the same components in this. Yeah. But then how this is different is that you can do the processing. So what will happen here is the message will start flowing, start going to this one, execute this, then this, then this, and then to put integration message. After that, it will flow back, right? While flowing back, this sync mediation will catch that message and you can do some stuff here. Whatever you want, like you can do a store here, you can do a thing here, something like that, right? And this will execute and then it will come back. So in the sense, it is just a way of doing stuff. Now, similar thing you can do how? By using two async mediations, right? Okay. So what was happening after put integration message? If this is the last component, the message will start flowing backward. But if say you want to process anything after that, what you can do is you can put another async after that and connect it. So instead of while going back, the message will do something, you can do it in a single line itself. So it is just up to you how you want to process. I've seen people using async mediation only. Some uses sync mediation, but both of them has the same purpose. So say what I was telling you was, say suppose this one. Right now it will first execute at start here, then go to async, execute all the components which are there, then go to put integration message, do the show the message on the event, error warning, whatever you have configured. After that, it will start flowing backward directly to start here. It will not execute again the things which are there in async.
Okay.
It will go back directly. Only thing is, if you are using sync mediation, then you have two parts to it, right? One is for this flow and one is for the backward flow. If you have that, then while coming back, it will go to this backward flow. But say if you want to execute it, you can put another async here, right? So what happens is after put integration message, it can go there. So either you can use this way or you can use this way. No recommendation as such. It is just how, because say if you have to write a code, there are different ways of doing it, right? If you give it to 3 people, they will write it differently. It's the same thing in Studio. If you give a same requirement to different people, everyone will have its own way of doing it. So, but there are some recommendations, but those recommendations are for the fast performance and all those stuff. But these kind of stuff are pretty basic standard. Now let me build this part here. We have a log here. So let's start with the log one today. What's a log component? So if you see any component, best thing is to click and go to the property view, right? So what it says is message builder, and it is, so you see here message content. Yeah. And log is a log. What it will do is it will print whatever is coming from the previous component, whatever message. So as I told you, right, after every component, there is some message. That message will come here and log will do nothing. It will just print it, right? Print it where? Print it in the log file of the integration. Okay. So
Okay.
if you see here, it has by default the message content, and you can do your custom stuff as well. So create text, you have create exception, line separator is for adding a new line, create XPath, we don't use it, XSLT, you can print XSLT in this one, but no use. Normally logs, yeah, very important stuff. Logs are not recommended to be used in Studio. You can use it for your development, but when you move your integration to production, it should not have any log component, because what log is doing is it is just printing in the log file, meaning your log file is becoming bigger. So from a performance standpoint, not recommended. Okay, but say if you are developing and you're in the build and you want to see what's the output of my previous component, what is coming up here, what's the value of some variable and all that stuff, there you use log. Okay, so you have log. Now you have a message content here. Let me put a text, right? So you click on this text, and you can move it up and down like this, wherever you want. Now in the text, I can put it here, anything here. I am just putting it just so that I know in the log file, log output start, put start here, copy, and then at the end, save. I will put another one and I will say end. Yep. I can put a log, this line separator as well, so that it will not be in a single line. It will come up in a separate line. Okay. Right. So I have a line separator and this, and then this.
Okay.
I'm saving it and let me deploy it. And let's
Include
next.
the class.
Okay. Good call. Let me now do it here. When Workday, where is the preferences here? Cheat sheet. This is different. This is Chrome, so that's fine. Anyhow, deploy and then include, select, and finish. Okay, so there are two ways. Either you run it from here or you run it from the front end. PHI test studio. Go to that start here. Right click, launch integration, launch. Launching. So now it is preparing and it completed with warning. Right now, if I double click it, it will show me the log file. So you see here, this is our log output start. So what it is having, it is just having a basic name of the integration, the username who started this, and that's it. So there is nothing useful, right? That's it, because it's a basic stuff. We are not doing anything. It's just a start here components, integration triggered, and then you have a log, and that's it. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now let's use another component, which is called a write component, and put it here. Okay. Now what does a write component do? As the name says, it writes. Writes into what? Writes into your message. So whatever you will do in the write will be in your message. Okay. So I go to this one. And for each component, right? So say this component, that component, and all that, the input is by default the message which is coming from the previous component. Okay. Now for this one, the output was that what was in the message? It is just that integration name and XML having the integration name, who initiated and all that, which is of no use, right? So after this, we normally do either retrieving a file or either calling a report or either calling a web service so that we get something and then we start processing, right? We will do that, but first let's understand the concept. Now see the write step, right? So if you go to the advanced tab of write, what it is, not in the common step. So you see the input to this write step is a message, output is also the message, meaning whatever is coming from the previous component is input to this one, and whatever you do in this, that will become the again the message, right? So now let me show you how. In the message builder, by default it is message content, meaning whatever is coming from the previous one. I don't want it, so I will delete it. And let me put a text here, and in the text I am putting say an XML, right? So I put a root, I put data 1 2 3, then you have employee ID 1 2 3 4. Fine. So this is just a sample message I have added. So now what will happen? Okay, let me copy this and paste it. Copy this and click on this async stuff and paste. So, and put it. So now you see it will be clear to you now. After the integration start here, I have put a log, right? Now what this log is saying, log output start, log output end. So what I will do is, just to make sure, since we have two logs, I will put here 1 2 3 4, and here also I will put 1 2 3 4. Okay, so this is the first log, meaning it is printing the message content after the start here component. Okay, then I have the write content which is doing this, and after write content I'm printing the message content, right? So the message content, this is the same log. Now let's see how the message changed. Yeah, did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this log will print the message after this, and this log will print the message after write. So I will save it and I will deploy it. Now again, if you see the common thing of it, the input to the write step is message and output is also message. That's why it changed the message content. Now here, if you see the options, you have message, root part, soap body or variable, right? Generally, we play with two options, either message or variable. Okay. So now consider a scenario where after this, you have to do some more processing. Okay. Then what will happen? Again, the message content will change, right? Yeah. Okay, let me give you an example. So suppose here, after this integration start, you got this message, right? Which is that XML. Yeah. You want to store it. So what we do normally is, we have a step called copy step. Copy, and you put it here. So what it does is, it asks you what is the input and where should I copy it. So if I say input is the message meaning whatever is coming from the previous one, and you output is a variable, all right? And you have to give the name of the variable. Let me say is data, whatever you want to give the name, right? So now what does this mean? Now this variable called as data stores the message after this one. Yeah. Now let me put this log after this log. And we have here message content. Okay. Now see the magic. This log. Now tell me what will be this log has a message content here, right? Because why? Because the log thing, if you see the common, the input is the message. That's why this log will print the message, whatever is coming in. Now in the second log, what I will do is, if I keep it as is, it will again print the same thing, right? Because log doesn't change the message content. Log just prints it. So whatever message content was there, it will print the same thing twice. Yeah. Now say the requirement is you want to print the message, or you want to do some processing with the message which was there originally in the start coming from here. So if you remember what we did a copy to a variable. So what we can do here in this one, let me first show you this way. Let's deploy this. Save. In the current state, what it will do is it will print the same message 2 times. Yeah, because both of them has input as message, and after the write step we have that. So Cloud Explorer, and let me launch. Active processing completed with warning. So now if I open this, and if you see, both of them has the same content. Yeah. So this one also has root, this one also has root. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll just do a small change. I will go to the show property view. In the common tab, instead of input as a message, I will change it to variable and put my variable name here as data. So this was the name I gave here, data. And now here I have data. I will just save it. So that's what the copy step is doing. It is copying that content which is coming from this, storing it in a variable. So now if I will run and see this time, it will be the content from the start here.
Yes.
Okay, so it completed with warning. Now, if you see, so the first one has the content of write, and the second one has the content of that start here output.
Okay.
Clear about this concept that the message flows from one component to another. But if you want to change it, then you can change it on the properties of any component in the common tab, input and output, right? So input, and in the right, input and output. So, okay, see here now, what we are doing here is in the copy step, the whatever message is coming, we are storing it in a variable called data, right? Now in the write step, my input is a message, output is a message. I will change it to variable and I will say data2. Okay, now in this log, I am printing the message, and in this one, I am printing say data2. Okay, so you see here first, as I told you, what happens is message flows, right? Message will flow and get changed only if you are not messing around with the input output thing, right?
Yes.
Let me just wait for this to complete. Now, my guess says if this has, where is it? Properties. This one is printing message content. This one is also printing message content, but here the input is variable data2. So, and this is data. This is data 2. So whatever is in the content of write, which is this. So what is happening here is, so understand, in the write, this becomes the message, right?
Yes.
But in the common tab, you see output goes to variable. So whatever message this write step has will go to a variable. So data 2 will have that root stuff, but the output, the message will be the same, whatever is there before, which is the output of start here. So in this one,
Okay.
it will print that start here stuff. And in this one, data 2, it will have that root stuff.
Okay.
Process monitor, it is still waiting. Okay, I just want to show you from the front end also. This is the last event we ran it long before. How to see the log files, right? So here it is, there is a button called retrieve log files, right? And you click on this, click on OK, and there you go. This is the server log. That server log is something which is that stuff, right? So it is having that stuff. Okay, it is completed. Now if I open, so you see the first one is that
Okay.
start here stuff, and second is the root, right? Why second? Because second is printing what? Right, variable data 2, and data 2 is coming from the output of this write step. So the output of write step is variable. It is not message. That means the message will remain unchanged. So the statement which I mentioned, that message flows from one component to another and it gets changed if there is any processing, holds true only if input and output both are message. But if you change it to variable, then that whatever update that write step is doing will get stored in data 2, but the original message will flow back to this log. Okay, this is a very important concept, because you need to know what is happening in each one of them. Yeah. So now that you are clear about this, let's check another component, which is CSV to XML. Okay, and let me delete this copy here. Right step. So CSV to XML, as the name says, it converts a CSV message into XML. Right? What is CSV? CSV is a comma separated file, right? So for example, in the right step, I will do that. Employee ID, comma, name, comma, what else? Say cost center, and say company. Okay. Employee ID is 123. Name is XYZ. Cost center is CC1. Company is ABC. Then you have 234 ASD, or say test 2. Okay, so this is a comma separated
Yeah.
message, right? I will just save it. Now after this, you see, let me put a log before this and a log after this. In this log, it is printing the message content. I will just go to advanced, common, input is message, that's fine, and it's printing message. This one, I'll go to common, input is variable. I will just make it message again, which is by default stuff. And this is CSV, message. This is message, and I'll make it message. Right? So it is all normal, right? What is happening is After start here, you have a write component. In the write component, you have your message printed, which is a comma separated stuff.
Yeah.
After that, I'm printing a log, right? So now the log should print whatever is the output of write, which is what? Because if you see common message, so message will get changed and it will become this one. So this will get printed here. CSV to XML. Now let's see how this will work. It will convert it into XML, and then in the log it will get printed because the common says message is the input. So whatever is the output of this is also a message, will come here, and that's it, right? And let me change this to info so that now we see it as success. Control S. Okay, finish, and it's deployed. Cloud Explorer. I go here and I launch. So completed. Now if I double click, now you see the output. So first log says the CSV file, and the second one says the XML. Now how do we see this XML, right? I go to the end of it. Now there is another way of opening an XML. In this project itself, you can say new, other, and then select, go to the bottom, XML and XML file, next, and finish. Right, source and Control A, Control B. So XML has an alignment, right? So to do that, you do so like this. So what you see here is it is printing the header as well as the data, right? So column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Yeah, you see that? I don't want that, right? Because this is a header, it's not data, it is coming as a data. So what we can do is go here, go to the CSV to XML and see the property of this, right? So now if you see here, column names, you can give column names, but since our first row is the header, you see this last column, which says first line as header. By default, it is false. If you hover on this, right, the default value is false. So we have to make it true. Just make it true. But if you just want this to use that, just make it true. And if you say, I don't know what to do, just click on help and it will tell you all the properties of what this component has. Okay, so let me then deploy and see. Active and completed. If I open now, and if you see, now it is having the tags as this. I will copy this and I will show you the difference. Right, so you see, before it was having column 1, column 2 as the tag name. Now it is having employee ID because we have selected use first row as header. So it is using the first row as the header tags of the XML. Yeah, that's this component for you. CSV to XML. And then you have the reverse of this as well. You have XML to CSV, which just will do the opposite of it. Right, so these two components are that, and similar to that we have others which are JSON, XML to JSON and JSON to XML, which is just the opposite of this. Okay, clear on this? Cool then. Happy work day.